um, the organizer's mind and their, I think somebody needs to mute the organizer's mind and inclination. I mean, even coming from the team around beyond the pillbox, right? How you can begin to look at both careers outside of the pharmacy space. I love that young people are thinking in this direction. Why? Because, and I want you to remember this, if you are not preparing for the future of work, if you're not, the future of work um, will change drastically in the next 7 to 10 years, right? And you cannot be preparing for the present, right? You have to be building your career based off what the future of work is going to look like. And I believe that you guys will probably even have some sort of idea because of the disruption, the amount of disruption that we are experiencing from tech. When I left school 15 years ago, there were many, tech had not advanced as much as you guys have it right now. Does it have benefits? Yes. Does it also come with disadvantages? Of course, yes, as well. So the disruption is eating the AI space and the tech space generally, even digitalization and all of that. You can but be preparing for the future of work. All right. Um, so I want your mind to be open even as we get into this, because one of the things that tech has enabled is to enable platforms like this, right? It makes it super easy. Back then when I graduated, you probably don't have a Zoom or Google Meet or things like that. And people have to meet physically and all that. But now you're now even having an overload of information where people are sitting in rooms like this and not able to even gain the best out of it because they are not able to filter out what is good information or what is effective for me in this particular time, and what is beneficial. And because of that, I'm just going to try as much as possible to work in the space of this 20 minutes that I mentioned and anchor my conversation on 5 points. Now, these 5 points, are they ultimate? Like, again, I say this to people a lot. You can be in a room of knowledge and you gain nothing. So it's not just about we set up this and we have guest speakers, powerful keynote speakers. I think Ulua Bukumi is here. Family, good to have you here. Um, she's an amazing person. I followed her a bit, in the last few years and doing very well, right? But you can meet all of these powerful keynote speakers and you may not get the best out of it. So it is really always about the condition of your mind when you are in a meeting like this. So you are absolutely wrong if you're listening to me and somehow you're trying to multitask by being on Instagram or trying to do something else. Okay. Why? Because outside of this platform, maybe you probably might not have had direct access to me, for example, or to hear me speak, for example. So you just want to maximize as much as possible. And I would like you to come up with your questions because we'll have just 5 minutes to do that. Okay, so we are talking about beyond the pillbox. Interesting topic, and I'm anchoring my conversation on 5 points. The first one I would like to start with is on how you can lead with purpose and confidence. And this is like the backbone and the foundation of what every other 4 points is going to be on. So this is really speaking about what your hands finds to do, you do well with all your heart. You see, you might not be clear about the things that you should be doing. You might not be clear about what the future is going to look like for you, or okay, what other aspect of pharmacy, the pharmaceutical industry, or even outside of it, I want to do. I want to be involved in. You may not be clear about what exactly you want to do, but at least be clear about the things that you don't want to be doing or you shouldn't be doing at this particular time. For example, if you're thinking that, you know what, I want to go into the consulting space, for example, then you don't start learning digital marketing, for example, right? So be clear, at least be clear on the things that you shouldn't be doing part time. You may not be clear about what the future is going to look like. Be clear about the things that you shouldn't be doing. But and that fits into currently, what is your hand find? What is your hand doing, right? What are you doing? Are you still in the retail space? Are you still in the um what's it called? See, I'm beginning to lose touch of some of these pharmaceuticals. The retail space or the industrial space and all of that. How do you really maximize the opportunities that you're given part time? Because what happens is that your efforts are multiplied, right? And all of these sectors that I've mentioned, I literally started from them as well. So started from retail pharmacy, of course, not even sure exactly what the future looks like. I didn't plan this future. I'm currently like in the startup space and venture capital. Nothing in my pharmaceutical education prepared me for the future that I'm working into right now, right? But what did I start with? I started doing community pharmacy, put all of your efforts in it, lead with purpose and confidence, right? Um, and just multiplying that effort. So it fits, it goes back to your mindset. I know you see all those powerful people, maybe someone like myself inspire you and things like that, and then you're almost under pressure. I need to be doing something, I need to be doing something. Yes, fine. But what exactly, how are you multiplying that which you are doing at the moment? I honestly can't recall if you guys have gone for NYC or not or something, but regardless, once you have finished a pharmacy degree, then there should be some opportunities already handed over to you. One, through internship. Then you go to NYC. Then at least that first 2 years, how do you maximize every opportunity that's been given to you and multiply it? Because what you realize in the future is that all of those efforts will add up. It will make sense in the future. And I'm going to come to that, right? So how do you multiply it? I started retail pharmacy, got into hospital a bit, and although when I was in final year, I was sure that I didn't want to be a typical pharmacist in terms of um eventually be a retail pharmacist or industrial pharmacist, or all those that pharmaceutical space. Maybe even I wanted to be out of the healthcare space generally. So I was so sure as a final year. And so I was doing exams with like McKinsey, the consulting company, as at my final year. I was doing very well in school, so it wasn't an issue. But I just really got bored about pharmacy because of the way my mind thinks, really. I'm very analytical. I like to work with numbers. I like to, so I just knew that it had to be consulting, it has to be something outside of, it has to be something that would challenge me, really. So from final year, I was doing those kind of exams, you see. Did I eventually get into McKinsey then? No, I didn't get into McKinsey, right? But I then did retail pharmacy, hospital pharmacy. And guess what? I'm going to tell the story very quickly. I'm in my hospital pharmacy. The first month that I start, the procurement manager in the hospital, I was a pioneer pharmacist. So this was a time where hospitals would typically recruit pharmaceutical technologists, right? Pharmtechs. And they didn't see the reason why they should pay a pharmacist more because a pharmacist could do it. So I'm the pioneer pharmacist here, and I need to prove a point. I mean, I finished school with the first class. You can't even pharmacy school after 5 years. You can't start comparing my delivery or my output or my effectiveness to you can't try to bring it down or something. So I had a point to prove. So I put in, of course, a lot of effort. When the procurement manager had left, my boss wanted me to just stand in for her briefly while they replaced the person. But unfortunately, they didn't even replace the person till I left. What then happened is that I built procurement expertise, which was not common to many pharmacists at that time. Now, this is me, a pharmacist. My core skill is, of course, pharmaceutical care, clinical practice, and things like that. And now I am procuring machines from the UK, from the US for my hospital. I'm procuring things, medical consumables. I'm procuring diagnostic equipment. Of course, I'm building relationships, network, supplier networks. I am really learning the supply chain, the way you go manufacturer, distributor, wholesaler, retailer. And, in that 1 year that I did that, they didn't even increase my salary. I bet I was going to resign maybe by the second month or something I because um I think, can you still see me? My network is a bit scrappy.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
All right, good. So and I was going to resign, but I stayed through because of this point that I'm raising with you guys about how you can lead with purpose and confidence in just your output and your delivery. I was going to leave, and but something in me just said, you know what? The best that you get from a job is not even your salary, is how you can become a better person by the time you're leaving that job, especially at a very early phase of that career, of your career, really. Then I was earning maybe 150,000 naira. This is outside of transport and all of that. But by the time I left that company, oh my God, I was earning way, 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 way more. Way, way more than that. I felt like going back to pay my boss then because of all of the skill sets that I built on that role. And guess what? Why did I get the second role? I got the second role because I was the only pharmacist under consideration that had a procurement experience, end to end supply chain, right? Um, and if you know this company, M Pharma, I literally started the framework for the supply chain for M-Pharma. It's a very big company today. But that came from my hospital process. That came from initially earning 150K. And that was my introduction into the startup world, right? I work with M-Pharma, it was a startup, and startup is like high-paced environment and all of that. And I'm paying attention as well because I always think about how I can multiply efforts, how I can multiply opportunities, and not just not just, be in all of the negativity around where you are, your current reality. Current reality, some people here right now still are so burdened with the idea that, oh, I want to get out of Nigeria, all the negativity, oh, the Nigerian system, the pharmaceutical system, I wasn't able to get the kind of job I wanted. You want to pause from all of those negativity and just really focus on how you can multiply the good that is in your hand, first of all. And this, I believe, is how to build a framework for leading with purpose and confidence, because you are sure that everyone will go in the direction of value. If you have value, opportunities will continue, you will continue to attract opportunities. Remember how I started about you might not always be clear about the future, but be clear about what you shouldn't be doing. What you should be doing is complaining. At least you shouldn't be spending your time complaining. You shouldn't be spending your time thinking all negative. How can I multiply the opportunities that I have right now? Because you have no idea how those things would actually add up in the future. All right. So this is the foundation of, you're starting maybe very young. So you might not even be thinking, you might not be in leadership positions right now. Some of you might even have like Christopher, but leadership is not when you become a manager. It starts from the mind. And this is the mindset that you want to start with, right? And it's the bedrock of the mindset of leading with purpose and confidence. The second thing I would like to say is how you can leverage your unique skill sets. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses, right? I finished your first class, but I struggled with some courses in school. There are 7 things that I would not even go near. So you want to leverage your strengths, because at the end of the day, each of you had one unique magic number. So everybody is on their race. Even if you have best friends, you had best friends, in school, right? 5 of you. By the time life will keep almost like differentiating you guys for you. All right. So the point there is how you can look at your own uniqueness as a person and be able to identify, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. There are certain things that ideally should be like standard for everybody that's gone to the pharmacy school. For example, you have this powerful combination of clinical knowledge, patient care skills, and scientific, what's it called, expertise. All of these, you realize how it can, that rare combination can translate even into other skills that you may not realize, until you are in the process of engaging with the opportunities that is within your hand. All right, today I'm doing something. Well, I still work with a healthcare company, but I do something that is almost entirely different from what pharmacy school is like, right? But I realized that all of those knowledge that I gained back then, it's added up in some way. So you want to leverage your unique skill set to carve out a bold career path, and for yourself. What are your uniqueness? If there's something you want to pick up from this, what are your uniqueness, your strengths and your weaknesses? And then remember what I mentioned about how you should be building for the future of work. So look at the amount of disruption that is happening to work as we know it currently, even in the healthcare space. One of the core things that is really strong right now is healthcare digital transformation, and how digital transformation can be the tool or the breadwork to what's it called, impact or change tremendously the healthcare, right? So you want to look at how you can align your own skill sets, your own strengths, especially to all those areas. So you think like cyber security is going to be a big deal in the next few years. Artificial intelligence is going to be a big deal in the next few years. Digital transformation is already a big deal. And I'm sure that pharmacists are still trying to catch up, to be honest. I mean, especially in the African space. So you want to be able to, but it doesn't mean you should just jump there. If you don't have strength in all of those, if you're not naturally analytical, you don't have strength in all of those things, then you don't want to start out like that, right? There's still tremendous opportunity in the public health space, for example, and we're actually pretty much scratching the surface with the, of course, the funding gap that we're currently experiencing now with USA being cut off and all of that. Now Africans have to start thinking for themselves in terms of how they can close the gap without external funding existing. So a lot of opportunities do exist for um for you guys, and you want to be thinking, you want to update yourself, you want to know what is happening in the world while you are doing what you're doing. You can be in the retail pharmacy space, retail pharmacy, doing your internship or hospital or all those kind or those other jobs, right? And you're googling, you're checking, you're trying to update yourself with what is ongoing or current practice, that I can align my strength and with. And trust me, as you grow in your career, you begin to discover yourself even more. So some of the things that appear to be strength for you, maybe in the university days, you just realize that is completely different. For example, you might have really strong skills where customer service or customer success is concerned, for example. Nobody taught you that in pharmacy school. But over time, how do you even get to that point? It is about how you maximize the opportunities that is within your hand in the moment, right? And the little efforts in quotes, let me put it that way, right? So that's the second point, leveraging your unique skill set and always doing like this self-audit. I have this practice of always doing a self-audit minimum once a quarter, where you're just aligning your strengths and weakness. Because understanding also that you are subject to change, your mindset is subject to change. And that's why I have to do it at every point in time. So align my strength and my weakness to the future that I'm trying to build at every point in time. Next, I will say is you being able to embrace adaptability and continuous learning. You can't just stop but learn. I've had 2 certificates in venture capital, for example. So, when you see people like myself out there, there's a lot of back end work that people don't even see that is required to yourself having those expressions. again, remember that opportunities will always go in the direction of value. So I getting opportunities to come and do executive coaching in industries even outside of healthcare space, getting TV invitations and all of that is because they've identified something of value in this person. But how did I get to be that valuable? It's not, how do I put it? It's through continuous learning. This year already I've done a few courses, right? And I have another one just before the year ends, and I'm starting my doctorate very soon, So, and this is me 15 years post work and post graduation, with good enough career, what's it called, development so far, but I'm still, in that, um, commitment to just develop even more and continuous learning, because I cannot afford to not be valuable. And I know that, see, the knowledge that you have, there's a way to say it, the time is so limited. So I'm so conscious about it. The knowledge of 5 years ago is outdated already. As a matter of fact, the way disruption is happening, the knowledge of last year is outdated for building for the future. So you did very well in pharmacy school does not mean, it's not a guarantee that you do well in life, in your career. It's not. Why? Because that knowledge was good for that phase. The phase that you have right now, right? You need to commit to continuous learning, embrace adaptability. And I'm going to join this together with my next point about working strategically. I will give you this very short story. I got this opportunity to work with this company, and it was going to pay me very well, very well. And guess what? The person to make the decision said, Kemi, this role, I need somebody that has a strong network. I have a strong network. I have a strong network. And I do have a strong network. But you know what he said next? That shook me. He said, who do you know? If you mention one person across this industry, you get this role. It wasn't about my CV. It wasn't about my resume. It wasn't even ready to do the typical interview. He said, who do you know in telecommunication? Who do you know in transport? Who do you know in the government? He mentioned those five industries like that. And then I realized that as much as I'm even good with networking, I didn't really have that diversification where across industries are concerned. So right now, from now, this is where you start, so that your friend that is in engineering, that is in, what's it called, different department like that, you want to be intentional about networking, or maybe even going for events where you network across, because again, you're building for the future, right? You're building for the future. So network strategically, embrace adaptability and continuous learning. From networking events, you meet or your networking initiative or strategies, you meet people. You have to meet people. You can't just be in your room and say, I'm reading. Continuous learning. Continuous learning is not just about book and doing courses. It's about also meeting people and learning from their own experience. I have some mentors in my life that I sit with them for 1 hour, and I tell you that all that I gain from them far outweighs the amount of knowledge I gained from my MBA that I paid a lot of money for. I did my MBA in the US and I paid a lot of money for, but I can tell you that what I've gained from those guys, 1 hour, is like they squeeze time together, so you have to think networking. And finally, to just round off here, it will be explore diverse career paths. Just try as much as possible to explore. So for me, I've never really done just one thing, right? So that's me. That's a strength for me. It's might not be strength for everybody. So you don't exactly have to start trying to explore and be playing gamble, right? I've never really done one thing, right? So I'm in the pharmaceutical space. I was already trying to get into venture capital, got the privilege to be on the board of a few startups and things like that, because I was showing up. I was showing up, but you can imagine the amount of effort it takes me to do that, to build a career path like the one that I am building, where you have a strong hold in the healthcare space, and yet even in the startup space, you do have that, so it was a lot of effort and all of that. But if you have the privilege and the opportunity, explore diverse career paths. I will really say no to opportunities. So when you see opportunities, take them no matter how small they are and try to maximize them. And just think, how do I multiply this opportunity? I think I'll stop there, Christopher, because of time. And if we have any questions, I could just quickly take it. So maybe I can mention a few other things that you can consider. You have the regulatory side, you have the research, Oh my goodness, we are way behind. We are way behind. I mean, the African continent now. You have healthcare policy, you have entrepreneurship. That's what I want to do my doctorate on. Entrepreneurship, you have, tech startups today, getting into health solutions. And guess what? I watch documentaries a lot. I want to encourage you to watch documentaries. Listen to founder stories. Go for events. Listen to. You see that most of them. Look at Child Deck, for example. They started their company because they were trying to solve a problem that they experienced themselves. So when you're in the retail pharmacy, don't just be there and be selling and be dispensing, collect money, dispense, use malaria, typhoid, this one, that one. Pay attention to problems and how your mind can actually think about solutions to solve them. Innovation is no company right now, anybody building any idea right now, building any career path right now, and you're not thinking innovation, you're not trying to integrate innovation into it, you are not beautiful for the future work. You're going to be, you're going to expire. You're going to be outdated in a few years. And that's the absolute truth. You have to think innovation. But guess what? When we even say innovation, you have to think in the context of the African market, for example. The way innovation is to like America. So if you're here and you're trying to relocate, just know that you have to be exposing yourself to a different kind of thought process completely, right? Because the innovation that you speak of there is different from here. We have to go like grassroots. So many fundamental problems that are not right. But when you see problems, that's where you can really maximize solutions. That's why you can think about multiplying. See, I see opportunities. Maybe 90% of my classmates have already relocated, right? But I've never ever felt disadvantaged in the fact that I didn't relocate. No. What I see is how I see it as the failure of the system as an opportunity that I'm going to maximize to the best of my ability. And yes, I'm still working on that, right? But when you see problems or you see failures like that, systemic failures like that, you start thinking innovation. You start thinking innovation. Don't be in the group of those people that go negative about, oh, this country, this one, that one. No, no. Start thinking innovatively and how you could maximize the opportunities within your hand to solve some of the difficult problems that we have. Because whether we like it or not, it's already been predicted that Africa is going to be the next frontier for development. What kind of development do you think would happen to a perfect system like the US and co? Right? What if I went to the US prematurely? I got the privilege to do my PhD directly. If I went prematurely, then maybe months I'll be in the hospital now or doing research paper, something I don't like. And imagine what I've been able to achieve in 15 years across multiple industries. Very few people have that privilege. I even have my friends reaching out to me, my colleagues reaching out to me and saying, how exactly did you do this? Right? But it's right here in the same Nigeria that everybody's running from. And now my mind has been able to think outside of even the Nigerian space and even thinking about how you can make significant impact into the African continent and leave a legacy behind. And I would round off with this because I've entered gear two and I don't want to enter gear two. From gear two, I can get to gear three and gear four, but we don't have time. So think legacy building, please. There's a lot of legacy to build here. How much effort do you think it to take you to build a legacy in the US? So you go to Europe. These are places that you have privileges to travel there and you go for vacation, learn, pick from whatever it is, their perfect system, their exceptionalism, and come back here and integrate some of those things within the context of the African market. But think legacy. So I round off with this. I started with how you can start building right now with boldness and confidence, leading with bold. Start thinking like a leader and leading with boldness and confidence. Don't go complaining, my boss is this, my boss is that. I did a few of that, but I'm telling you what I would have done differently if I had this kind of privilege right now, right? So don't waste your time complaining about imperfect systems. It is a given. how can you multiply the efforts that you have within your hands? When I was doing procurement manager and pharmacist, then I was complaining every day. I would complain, how can I be doing procurement? I mean, and they didn't even increase my salary. I didn't know that in the future, the only reason why I would get a role that was paying me in dollars was because I had procurement experience. I was the only one that had a procurement experience. But I did it for a whole year. In fact, the very first career I got in that hospital was on a procurement that I didn't do before I went on leave. And I was so angry. So there's so many reasons to want to complain, but look at that. And it kept building. My supplier network up to today still exists. That's the power of relationships and people. I learned how to work with people from that phase of my life. So now I'm head of partnerships. I travel to Ghana, I travel to Kenya. I'm meeting people from different culture. I can always translate that skill set I've developed from people walking into my office back then, suppliers coming to negotiate with me, into the work that I do today. All right. So don't overlook little beginnings, so to say, in that way. Don't overlook little beginnings. What your identify is doing, do it well. Lead with boldness and confidence. Think about how you multiply efforts and the opportunities that are within your grasp right now, while you're preparing and building for the future. If you're not clear about the things that you exactly want to be doing, at least be clear about those things that you shouldn't be doing. And finally, think legacy building. I want to leave a legacy. You see, once your mind starts thinking about building legacy, you leave the mundane part of how much is my salary, what am I earning, where am I traveling abroad. Yeah, you start thinking legacy, right? How can I change the entire research space, in the African continent? Up to today, we still have drug researches done that very few drug researches done on Black people, using Black people. Just a few startups have started, trying to break through that area right now. So please think legacy, and I wish you guys all the best. You can always stay in touch with me. My LinkedIn page is same name, Kemi Shapira Baby. Yeah, I let me hang my boots. Yeah, this is the shortest session I've ever had to. So it's okay. I think I've tried to maximize it. Typically, I'll do 2 hours and thereabouts. Thank you so much. Christopher, are you back?
Yes.
Oh, I agree.
Wow. Thank you very much. Wow. That was very insightful. Thank you very much, from Kemi, for the keynote session. This was very impactful. I'm really grateful that you've taken out the time to speak to us today. I remember the first time I heard you speak was in panel 17, and I was in awe. That was last year, panel 16. And then during interns week at Yaba Neuropsychiatric Hospital, and my life was literally transformed. And thank you again for doing the same thing today. We're really grateful. Would you like to take questions now, since you're in a hurry? Because I was thinking we'll take it after the second address. Sorry, your mic is muted.
Maybe just one or two questions. Because the second speaker is on his own, right? So we don't take so much time. I think we already even took that time. If anybody has any question, I can take one or two very quickly. Anybody?
You can raise your hand if you have a question. First two people.
Okay. It seems like we don't have any questions, but we've already even gone past the time. I'm so sorry about that. But I mean, I had a good time sharing my experience with you guys.
Okay, we have two questions.
Okay, OBB, Stephanie. Please go ahead, Stephanie. Somebody said she can't raise her hand. Okay, so you just go immediately after ABB or
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Good evening, ma'am. I'm Kemi.
Good
Thank
evening.
you. That was a wonderful session. So I have a question. So I wanted to ask, you mentioned that when you were working, you had issues with your boss, like not directly, you just said complaining about, oh, this job is this job is that. So I just want to ask, if you take up a job and you feel like, oh, you want to learn and you want to
Mm.
do that job, but the job is weighing you down, like it's really tiring, but you feel like it's an opportunity for you to explore um opportunities and other opportunities, as you mentioned, research and the rest. What do you do in that situation? So that's my
All right,
question.
thank
Do you
you for that,
continue with
Stephanie.
job or okay?
I
Thank you.
get this quite a lot. I've gotten this quite a lot for young pharmacists, so to say. And for me, my advice is always um hmm, because many times you need some sort of like context for some of these things, but I don't give up easily. I've never trained myself to give up easily. I've never trained my mind to give up easily. I mean, you guys think about what pharmacy school was like. So I don't, right? So no matter what, I always try to face problems like, so if you're, sorry, what's it? So if your boss, you don't like your boss or the condition, I'm telling you that the condition was really terrible. Everybody in the office wanted to leave, but I was getting a lot from that without even realizing it. So I would stay, honestly. If you weigh your pros and cons at every point in time. But because what I've seen now is young people having very low level of grit or being able to take nonsense in quotes. And before you know it, they're just leaving, they're just resigning. And you can't even start your life like that. One of the most critical attributes of successful people in life, of successful and wealthy people, is grit. Grit is even bigger than motivation. That you are a motivated person, a self-motivated person. No. Grit, your ability to stay and do something, right? So that's what I would say to you. I think I'll stay. I will put a timeline to when I will leave as well, as long as I'm been able to accumulate some sort of skills where I can say, oh, I worked in this space for 6 months. For example, if you say you have procurement experience and you only had it for 1 month, you know that uh you know that that won't work. But if I had procurement experience for 1 month, for 1 year, 6 months, it sounds like value, it sounds like substance. So I don't jump ship, I don't just move. I try to face things as much as possible. If it's something that is getting to your mental health, for example, they are very quick to say mental health and things like that. You know that most of the time, people that talk about mental health is has something to do with themselves, actually. So the context is always necessary in these situations, but most of the times I don't easily jump ship. I will make sure that for me to leave that role, nobody else can work there. Nobody else can work with that person. As long as I'm getting value from that job. If I'm not getting value from me, I'm not learning something, then let's forget about it. The final person, there was somebody else that
Yes, from
Hello,
Jennifer.
good evening.
Yeah.
Good
hi
evening,
Jennifer.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the lesson. I really learned a lot. One of the first things that you said that I resonated with was when you said we should, even if we don't know what we are going to do, we should know what we do not want to do. And I think that's the part that I am at now. I know what I do not want to do, but figuring out what I want to do has been a little bit of a challenge for me. So most of my work experience has been in the community pharmacy space. I mean, the work is good work, but I know that that's not what I want to do long term. So, in the process of trying to find out what I want to do, I have taken training in product management, and I'm also interested in healthcare consulting. But the issue is, I don't really know how to get into those spaces. For somebody that is a beginner coming from a pharmacy background, how do you get into the tech space, the health tech space? What's a roadmap you can follow? Are there any tips that you can give anyway, apart from just the general apply to anywhere you see
Are
opportunities
you
and all of those
active on
things?
LinkedIn?
No, not really. No.
Exactly. You want to start from there. You want to start from there. Again, maximize all the opportunities within your reach, right? I agree with you 100%. To pivot from pharmacy to somewhere else is a headache, because they don't understand why a pharmacy is applying. For example, this is something I experienced myself, to a venture capital company. How? And for me, when you're starting now at this level, it's even easier for you to pivot. When you go higher, I have been, say, I had 13 years experience in pharmacy, and I'm not trying to come to venture capital. They're like, how? I mean, you have a good career history here. Why don't you just continue? They don't understand. And if you want to get to pivot at a higher level, it's even more difficult, because they want you to have experience in the area that you're coming to apply for, and all your experience. And I can't go now and go and apply for entry level, for example. So this is a good time for you. But how do you really start? All of those learnings that you're learning when you say product management, and your real goal, or something that you probably like, is healthcare consulting, read about it and then come and share your thoughts. So start sharing your thoughts on LinkedIn. You see, what it will do is that it will also help you. The more you do all of those research, or you're learning those courses, and you're not just being a consumer, right? You're being a producer now, by also creating those ideas that you're sharing on LinkedIn. You'll be able to firm up if this is something that I would actually really, really like to do on an everyday basis. Now, the more you do that, you start attracting, whether you like, it works, opportunities. There are so many opportunities I've gotten from LinkedIn. People I don't even know. I don't know, So start on that part, and that will even help you to be sure that, okay, I will really, really like this thing. By the time you get one privilege to interview for a health tech role, because you have spent a lot of time being a producer, right, the way you will express yourself, they will have no reason but to let you come in. That's even if they don't reach out to you before you do. Before you do. All right. So I don't think, just going to LinkedIn and just applying, that's not strategic, right? Positioning yourself as a value creator, somebody that brings a lot of value. Even look at 5 health tech startups that are working in those areas. Start writing about them. Oh, I've been doing a research on this, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I noticed. I think that this, da, 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 put it up there. Put it up there over time without even applying for any role. Follow them, connect with them. Oh, I've been following your work. I just want to say well done to you guys, blah, blah, blah. There are so many health tech startups that are doing really well across Africa. So you don't just look at Nigeria, and they're actually looking for pharmacists. Trust me. That have additional knowledge like product management, or maybe data, or maybe procurement or supply chain. So once you have all of that, you have all of that, and you're interested in it, start positioning yourself as a value creator, where you are finding expression on LinkedIn. Use the opportunity you have to find. If you see they have any conferences you want to attend, then you engage one of them. That's a way you meet people, you engage people, and then they have no reason but to give you an opportunity. So that's what I would say to you. Start
Thank you very much. Thank
being a
you.
producer, value creator, and even in the process of doing that, you'll be able to confirm if you really like to do the thing that you do, or it's just that it looks attractive from the outside based off what people have been saying about it. All right. So yeah, I'll leave it there for you. It's there for you, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you very, very much, Kemi. That was very insightful. So to wrap up this first session, I would like to call on the state coordinator to give her vote of thanks before we move to the second session. Pharmacists, Obibi Stephanie.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening once again, Fam Kemi. And thank you all for joining this bootcamp. It has been an insightful session. I don't know about you guys, but you could see me jumping and dancing and laughing. Thank you so much, Fam Kemi, for taking out your time to share your knowledge with us. We really appreciate it. And I hope that we are all ready to explore both opportunities
within and beyond pharmacy. So I would just say two things that I picked a lot of things from our section, but I would just say two things that I would emphasize on after the second speaker. She said, you can't stop learning. And secondly, we have to network. Very important, especially for young pharmacists. We have to network. A lot of you don't come out for events. Like I said, I'm going to emphasize on that after the second speaker. Thank you once again, Fam Kemi. We hope to see you and we in our next event, next webinar, and we'll be officially inviting you for our upcoming YPG Lagos Week, which will be taking place 1st of October. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. It was good to be here. Thank you so much, Stephanie and Christopher. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So we're moving to the second session quickly. And I'll be inviting the next keynote speaker, a phenomenal pharmacist that has transcended beyond the traditional pharmacy careers that we know. She is a friend, she is a mentor, she is someone that I respect and admire a lot, and I can't wait to hear what she has in store for us today. So with a rousing virtual ovation, let's welcome pharmacist Oluwabukumi Familoye.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me. Okay, so I think, I don't know, for some reason, I've been tagged to this kind of topic, which is about pivoting from pharmacy and all of that. I mean, I'm not complaining, but I hope to be able to like expand this sort of like talk. But yeah, I'm happy to be here and to share my ideas and my knowledge around this topic. So I think the topic I was given was clarity, courage, and the pivot. So yeah, I don't know if you don't know, my name is Bukumi. I currently work in a consulting firm. I'm based out of Johannesburg, South Africa. I started my career in pharmacy, so I studied pharmacy in Ife and did the all round of pharmacy, that's internship and NYSC, blah, blah. Then I worked as a business analyst briefly for a boutique consulting firm and then pivoted into finance. So I worked in Cardinal Stone as an asset manager for 2.6 months, and that's 2 years and 6 months. And then I went to business school. So I did my MBA in INSEAD, and I'm currently working in BCG as a consultant. So I like to say this is my third career change, and this is like a new city. So I started working in February, and it's been how many months now? I think 6, 7 months. Yep. So that's a brief sort of like summary of my career journey. And so yeah. So if anybody can talk about pivoting, maybe I know a few things about it. I've been pivoted thrice. This is my third career. So yeah, clarity. So the way I thought about this was to first demystify the myth around pivoting. And I'll do that so I prepared this with ChatGPT. So I'll do that by going over, like, I don't know if you guys use ChatGPT a lot. I think I would encourage you to always use ChatGPT. It doesn't mean that you're dumb. It just means that this is what we're talking about. And I think that Famkemi already touched a few of it, which is the fact that like knowledge is evolving and the kinds of skills that we are using now has evolved. So then I asked ChatGPT about like how career has evolved over the centuries. And I don't know how many of us, and because it's important to understand the history, to know where we currently are, and to sort of like know where we're going, right? And I mean, the origin of career, of job, and all of these things sort of like started in, or no, let me start from the way we ChatGPT and I were thinking about. So there was the agricultural era, which is the pre-18th century, where most of our careers were mostly inherited. And like that means that if your parents were farmers, it's most likely like it's most likely the case that you become a farmer or craftsmen or traders. You just follow the same path. And I think I'm Yoruba, so I think that in some, you hear some people's names, they're patterned after like a particular profession. So I think the Anyon people, they're like drummers. You have people who are palm wine tappers. It was just like automatic for you to just follow your parents' path. And then we go to the Industrial Revolution, which was between 18th century and the 19th century. This was when factories became like a big thing, mass production. So education became formal. That is, people went to universities. You didn't have to learn, like be homeschooled or learn from your parents. Now you had to go for a training, and your career was linear. So once you go to the university, you learned how to be whatever, maybe a machine expert or whatever. You're most likely to just throw that part onto retirement. And then the third was the 20th century, which is 1900s and to 1980s. And this was the rise of professional careers like pharmacy, like medicines, and people pursued degrees that led to predictable paths. So the corporate era began to be a thing. So that is way beyond the industrial era. And just to speak more about the industrial era, this was where machines, I mean, to be honest, these are like more US kind career journey. Let's not forget we are Africans, we're like a lot more behind. But generally, this is the way that career evolved. And most times we use US as standard. So yeah. So the 20th century was like the rise of like, professional careers, banking, finance. People had corporate ladders that you climbed. If you in the stock market, you had people who wanted to, trade, all of those things. And you have people who stayed at jobs for a very long period. Still the same as the industrial era, but it was a lot different. Now, people did business, people did science, like you become a doctor, you climb through and become more specialized and all of that. And now, between the late 20th and early 21st century, this is where knowledge economy emerged and careers became flexible. People started changing jobs and industries or even combining disciplines. The technology blurred boundaries. A doctor could become a tech founder, a lawyer could move into business or whatever. So I would describe this point, 1990s to 2010 was the rise of the internet. And that's when knowledge became more accessible to everybody. The technology boom, if you guys are familiar with like the rise of technology, was around 2000. I mean, the internet boom rather. But I think the tech boom, or like the bust the first bust we had before the financial crisis was in 2000 or around that period. And the internet was founded in 1994. So by the time the internet became a thing, people had more access, like careers started to change. You started to find people who were coders, engineers, all that kind of stuff, putting things on the internet. And with the evolution of knowledge, people had more access to, I mean, initially you had to go to the university. This knowledge was like in books, it was closed. But now just right, I mean, if you had a computer, at least at that time, you could access like all the knowledge in the world, right? You didn't have to have piles of books and all of that. Then with internet, Amazon built on it, which is like the internet of things. People now could I don't want to go into the evolution of all of that because that's not the core, but I'm just trying to say how that influenced the career choices that people had and how that influenced even the way that people choose their career. So for context, Jeff Bezos actually worked in investment banking before he started Amazon. So he didn't start from scratch. And like he saw, my theory is that he saw, like, in investment banking, you're probably working on deals, you're working on new business models and all of that stuff. So he probably saw how the internet was changing things, and how like new businesses were going to be formed as a result of the internet. And that's how I jumped on it. In my opinion, if you ask me what I think is the greatest invention of man, I'm trying to choose between the aeroplane and the internet, because the launch of almost everything that we have currently is like, based or built. The internet was the foundation, and everything we have, Facebook, whatever, is like, layered on the internet. ChatGPT, the fact that I can talk to you now is because I have internet access. And now this is the 21st century, and now career paths. And I think I like what ChatGPT said here. It says that career is no longer linear, but portfolio based, and that interdisciplinarity is key. So why did I go through all of this history? I went through all of this history first to tell you that we're in a wave, and I think From Kemi touched on it. We're in a wave, and things are changing faster. Like, it's no longer news. I mean, to be honest, I don't even think the concept of pivoting is new. I guess for us, it was just not a thing. And I'm going to touch on, this is like general global view on like careers, but I'm going to touch on Nigerian specific sort of view. It's not news that, and I think that in my research also, I think I asked ChatGPT for like known people who sort of pivoted, and one person he mentioned was Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know if you guys know Da Vinci. I mean, everybody knows Da Vinci, who painted the Mona Lisa. Da Vinci was actually a scientist. That means he studied anatomy, botany, and physics, and he was an engineer. So he designed like machines centuries ahead of his time. But guess what? He also painted Mona Lisa, which is one of the most sought after painting. Everybody that goes to Paris wants to see the Mona Lisa, except me, Sha. When I was in Paris, I never really went to see the Mona Lisa. But yeah, like everybody wants to see the Mona Lisa painting because of Leonardo. But Leonardo was not just an artist, he was also a scientist. And yeah, I think another one that stood out for me was Benjamin Franklin, which, yeah, is sort of like Benjamin Franklin was a printer, a writer, an innovator, and a scientist. And he also was a politician. So he was one that he was a founding father of the US and all of that. So we have history. The history is full of people who combined sort of like disciplines, who combined. And in fact, ideally, now I'm going to come back to our macro on like a Nigerian sort of perspective, and this is something I am passionate about, and which I think that we need to start to address. So one thing I realized from, I have a cousin in the US, and what's she currently studying? She's studying neuroscience and Korean languages or something like that. But guess what she wants to become? She wants to be a doctor. But like the fact is that, yeah, so the fact is that there's a difference between the US system or the US and the likes. I'm using US as a proxy because for now, US is the country of the world, maybe until the Chinese change their mind. Oh, I hope Trump is not listening to me, but yeah. So US is like the proxy, and we have the Nigerian system. Ideally, I think it is not, I think it is not fair to ask a 14-year-old who knows nothing about the world to choose a career or to choose a path already. So, and that is what and in fact, what am I saying? Is it 14 years? I think I finished secondary school when I was 15. So at 9, 10, 11, at around 11 or 12, I was already trying to choose between science, art, or commercial. I remember I changed my career decision like, I don't know, 1,000,001 times. At some point, I wanted to do law. At some point, I wanted to do medicine. At some point, I wanted to be an architect. But then, there's a pressure on you to actually make a decision. But what do you know about the career you're choosing? What do you know about being a science student? And there's this sort of perspective that if you're smart, you do science, which is very, very bad, which is very horrible, by the way. like because you actually require a level of knowledge to even do like art. Like the art is like very, very beautiful. I'm not going into all of that, but yeah. So the point is that it's very unfair to ask a person. Most of us choose like to be, after your jam, let's say the average age is like 16, 17. You chose pharmacy when you were 16, 17. What did you even know about pharmacy? You just say, oh yeah, why do you want to study pharmacy? I want to save lives. I want to study medicine. I want to save lives. You can save lives in different ways. Like you don't have to study medicine to save lives. We didn't even have an idea of, I mean, I remember when I wanted to study pharmacy, I remember going to the cyber cafe that time. My daddy was like, I should go and read about what pharmacists do. And I remember printing plenty paper, reading about it. But to be honest, it's not like I really understood it. I just know that, the drugs, hospital, blah, blah, blah. I want to save lives, and that's all that mattered. And, like we actually do not understand what we're choosing at the time. The difference with the US system is that um, in high school, the students study a broad mix of subjects: sciences, arts, humanities, social studies, even languages. And even at university, students do not immediately commit to a strict career path. They usually take general education courses first in their 1 to 2 years. And after choosing a major, which I think I told you about my cousin who is studying neurology, neuroscience, I believe was that, and Korean language, which I found very fascinating. Then you're able to, even after declaring, before you declare a major, you have to do like a 1 or 2 years, whatever. Then after choosing a major, you can still even switch. So you find people switching in their second year in university. And this is the story of Chimamanda. I don't know how many people here knows her story. She actually got admission to study medicine. I think hers was even directly into medicine. And in her second year, she found out that, oh shit, this is not for me. And she was able to choose to move at the time to the arts, right? And so that sort of like exposes you, because as you grow older, you sort of like understand yourself a lot better, and you are able to choose. In fact, like because you have a general sort of like view, you're able to understand exactly what your strengths are, compared to like a child who is like 16 or 15 or even 14 or even below, choosing a career path and expecting himself to stick with that, right? So there's something fundamentally wrong with the way we choose. That's my opinion. I mean, don't take it to the bank, but that's what I think that's my opinion. So this sort of like, you have stories like even Fela when he was in the university. I think he also got admission to study medicine, and then it switched, right? Yeah, I think in pharmacy school in Ife, you only switch when you fail. If you fail, people will now start to go and look for backup. Oh, and now I can study psychology and all of those things. But like that's not how like the education system in these places. Nobody thinks you're a failure because you did like psychology or economics or something that was different, right? And even after, I see that even when you're choosing a career, like you're choosing a job after university in America, you can also choose like very random things, right? You can choose to do random things. Sometimes it could be something you did when you were in like 100 level or something. So the education system sort of helps them be more, allows them to be more fluid in their career. So the concept, and that's why I said this is like demystifying the myth around like a pivot and all of that. The concept around like choosing a career, or like sticking to that one thing that you chose when you didn't even understand what that one thing was. I think it has to be like you have to bust it right now. I remember when I was choosing, I already knew I didn't want to do pharmacy, right? So I already started like Fam Kemi said, I also applied to all of these consulting firms and all of that. So I already started like exploring other things that were not pharmacy, right? And what I used to say that time, in fact, my classmates are not surprised that I'm not even studying pharmacy. I think most of them are not, if they had known me. Like what I used to say is that I can't let 5 years, remember, you only study pharmacy for 5 years. I can't let 5 years determine like the course of my life. It's just 5 years out of like if I live up until like 70 or 80 or whatever, like that's just, it's not even up to one. I don't even know. It's like 0 point how many percent of your life, right? You can't let that determine your happiness, or like you it can't be like I just told myself it can't just be it. This can't be it, right? So I think I've said a lot of things, and like career change is not a new thing, and you also need to understand like this era that we are in. We're in an era of like information overload. Information is everywhere. You can be many things. The internet has like done fantastically well at that. And we are also at the era where you don't have to be. In fact, to be honest, I don't even think that we're there. It's just that a lot more people are realizing that you don't have to be one thing. You can be many things, right? You can actually decide to stay in pharmacy, but you can be many things. I just gave you the story of the Leonardo da Vinci and how he was many things, right? So people have done this before. And I think, like I said, it's something fundamental about our education system that thinks that you have to think you're a science student. You know, when you're a science student, everybody's like, yeah, you know, I'm a science student, that kind of thing. But like now we see like the creator economy is becoming big, right? Like I mean, creator economy is TikTok. Yeah, even though I have my reservations around that, but there are things you can build. There are like, you know, really solid things you can build around those things, right? So career pivot is I don't even think it's more of a pivot. I think it's more of an exploration of yourself and your capacity, right? So now that's the clarity I want to give. That's the clarity I want to give everybody. And I think I'm very conscious of time. And I think that really speaks to clarity. Yeah, don't let me overbeat that. And what's the courage? I mean, yeah, so the courage is you have to first tell yourself that yes, I'm a pharmacist. I learned pharmacy. I studied pharmacy. I know about drugs and everything. But I mean, the courage is actually wait. Where is the courage actually? It's actually leaving your comfort zone in some way. But I think as a young person, right, you have to be very curious, right? It's you have no choice because I remember one of my one of the most interesting quotes I like was one quote about Steve Wozniak. Is the I think it was the other guy on the old Apple team. I don't know. And they were like we're 21 and 22. There was nothing for us to lose. All we could lose if everything goes bust is that we'll just lose our bags, maybe lose like a few bucks. But it's like you're young, right? The worst that can happen is that you go back to pharmacy, right? The worst that can happen to me, and that's what I said, even though I didn't collect my license, but the worst that can happen is that I'll just go and beg them in YPG, no, what's that in PSN or whatever, and say, please give me my license. Oh, I actually worked for it, and they will give me like back of all the money I have to pay or something like that, right? The worst that can happen is that you go back and carry your pharmacy pali and you're gonna be doing your pharmacy if it doesn't work. So the point is like, and I believe I'm talking to young people, right? Like this is the time to make mistakes. This is the time to explore as much as you can. This is the time to like try different things. This is the time to actually like, you know, make that move, right? Because by the time you get married and you have kids, it becomes like, it's not like it's impossible. It's just harder, right? The courage you need is what you have now. Your youth is your strength, right? So you have to just like make that decision, right? And I think somebody asked the question like, oh, you don't know what you want to do, right? I feel like I mean, I have an article about this on Medium. Just try different things, right? Like you're young. I mean, I don't mean try different things by like taking away your core, which is like you can. I remember that time when I volunteered for COVID in 2020, while I'm at the I don't know, the pharmacy, the place, yeah, the pharmacy store. How am I forgetting the names of these things? Like where you used to dispense drugs. I'm on my computer, you know, taking a course. I'm doing data analysis. I did data analysis when it was a thing. I'm going to go into like some of the mistakes you shouldn't make anyway. But like I did data analysis. I registered for a mini MBA course, and I was doing all of that stuff, right? Like it's not every time you have patients around you. You don't have to leave. You don't have to like, you know, leave the community pharmacy or leave whatever you're doing. You can actually like, I don't know, multitask in some way or find a way if if you can't actually leave, right? So my point is that, what was the point I was trying to make? But yeah, like this is the time to actually like make that move. This is the time to explore. This is the time to learn about things, right? And the pivots. So the mistake people make is that they're looking for shortcuts to pivoting, right? Pivoting is hard, especially if you want to pivot into a career that into like if you want to build an actual career. And this is what I'm saying, right? It's like when I was trying to pivot, I tried a few things and I quickly realized how fluffy that the whole process, like you say, oh, learn data, learn how to Python in like 1 month. And you see all of us were like registering and paying money for all of those things. This is data science that people spend 3 years in university to study, and you want to pivot in like 1 month. It's impossible. Even product management, all of these things, it takes time, right? Especially if you want to get deep. And the problem with the the era we are in is like we want quick, returns, right? The point is that if you want an actual, like, if you want to, I mean, at first, if you're just trying, you can take a course, you can take this, just trying to learn about stuff. But by the time you decide on something, you have to go deep. There's no way. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you have to go deep. You have to lock in, like they will say on Twitter. You have to really learn. You have to go to the foundation. You have to, like my Naval will say, you have to learn first principles about a thing. You can't just say, oh, I want to pivot, then you want to quickly enter. So it's hard, right? And it requires a lot. And so sometimes even those short courses you're taking a course and you're probably not even listening to what they are saying half the time. You just want the certificates. It's going to show. Like nobody, like the world actually, yes, there's information overload, there's ChatGPT. By the way, I think that to use ChatGPT, you actually require a level of intelligence because ChatGPT can give you rubbish. And if you don't understand how to even prompt ChatGPT, you'll be running in the dark. So my point is that whatever, like ChatGPT, all these things require like first principles thinking, requires like, pivoting is not something like you just want to, you have to. I don't believe in like unnecessary suffering, but there is seed time and harvest, right? You have to put in the effort, you have to put in the work, right? You have to like lock in. That's what they say, right? So don't get, into that adrenaline, those quick. Oh, I want to learn graphic design, and you just want to quickly learn it already. You want to quickly be a master. You want to quickly be out there. You want to be quick. No, all of that is something you have to, especially if you want to be a master at something. So, and also like in pivoting, yeah, there will be challenges. And I think that, yeah, I think the last thing I'm going to leave us with, I think I've mentioned everything I want to say. Let me see if I have mentioned everything. Yeah. I think the last thing I want to say about like when you think about your career, I like to tell people that your career is not one thing, it's not a job, right? You're doing a job now, doesn't determine anything. When I was in Cardinal Stone, like yeah, I loved the firm, but I wasn't really a fan of the work I was doing, right? I mean, they were paying relatively well, but that wasn't what I wanted. But at the moment, I knew that that was going to like, what I was going to get from the job was that like it's going to help my business school application. Don't tell anybody, but yeah, that's what that's why I waited, right? So I just like, and also to be honest, some of the skills I learned there. So to this week, I did a macro analysis on a macroeconomic analysis on a firm here in Southern Africa, not South Africa, but in another Southern Africa country. And guess what? It was knowledge I actually, because when you're doing financial analysis, you're analyzing the macros and all of that. It was that muscle I built in Cardinal Stone that is sort of like helping me. It's not sort of, it's actually helping me to be able to like create scenarios and all of that stuff for the country, right? Because I understand macros, right? So my point is that like, yeah, like a job might not be able to give you everything you want, money, satisfaction, all of that stuff. But at a particular time T, if the job is giving you like think of, okay, first thing, let's start from the first thing. First things first. Think of your career as a story. So like, what do you want to be? I mean, that question too is very dicey, because sometimes you don't know what you want to be, but you have an idea when you see yourself, like, where do you want to play, right? So have that, like, sort of overall. It doesn't have to be very, very, some people can be very precise. I mean, I'm talking to people that sometimes don't really get it, like me. I just, all I know is I have like a very, okay, this is how I want to play. I know me, I can't do TikTok, I can't do all these things that people are doing up and down. I know that what I want to do is, a corporate career, up the ladder kind of thing. I know I can't do fashion. I'm not a fashionista. So there are things that you can just remove and take out of the line. So I have a general idea of what I want to do. And I knew that I wanted to do an MBA. So at the time, that MBA, getting me into an MBA was like very important. So I knew that, okay, if I did some things, my chances of getting into an MBA would have been very, very high. And so I'm just trying to say that just have a, like, it doesn't even have to be like a overall general, like, what I want to be. It could be like a 5-year, okay, this is what I want to get into an MBA, in my own case, for example, or I want to start my community pharmacy at some point. So what are the skills I need to learn to start a community pharmacy? I need to learn business. I need to understand how to play. I need to understand how to differentiate myself. So now you're looking for things that will give you that, right? So if a job at the time is giving you, the job has to give you something, because they are taking from you. That's what I tell people. Like, yes, your boss might be horrible. Or, I mean, if you can't stay with the horrible boss, definitely leave. But like, you can't find a job that will give you 100% what you're looking for, right? But you can take some things, and just like from Kemi's story, I could relate very well with that. You can take some things that would, take you to the next step. So you have to be selfish about the way you're thinking about your job, the kind of jobs you take. Just make sure that it's taking you closer to where you want to be, right? And so yeah, so I think that's the point I was trying to make around like jobs and career choices. So your career is like a sum of all the different jobs that you're going to have. So today's job, yeah, you're doing it. You have a reason why you're doing it. Make sure that you take whatever you want to take. If it's money you're trying to gather rather, just know that I'm here for money. Don't, if everybody say just collect the money, use it to start your own business, right? And it's fine, right? Don't let anybody guilt trip you into you must do what you like, passionate, all those things. Yeah, sometimes it's passion, right? But like, if it's money at this time, give yourself the time, the period. Okay, I want to collect this money, I want to make this money, and I want to move and do my own stuff, right? And that is perfectly fine. You don't have to, like, so that's the kind of, like, that's the way I want you guys to see, like, jobs, career, and all of that. I think I'll stop here. Yeah, 9:30, Jesus. Okay. That's the end of my rant. I hope I made a good keynote speaker. I wanted to stop at 9:20. How did 9:30 come? Anyway, yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Fam Bukumi, for your excellent and insightful keynote speech. I'm sure we all learned so much about how to pivot, how to think about our careers, how to find the courage to pivot. That said, we'll take a few questions because we're supposed to round up in the next 4 minutes. So we'll take, okay, one person is already raising a hand, Fam Uri. Do you have any other question? Okay, 2 people. Okay, I think that's fair. So let's start with pharmacist Uri. You can unmute your mic, please.
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Ma. Thank you so much for your impactful session. I really learned a lot, and I liked how vulnerable you were. Please, I just wanted to ask, like, in details, how you were able to, like, pivot. What step did you take to enter consulting and asset management?
Okay. Am I answering now, or should I take all the questions? Let me answer. In details, I want to sound like all those pastors and say, go and read my book for the details. Go and read my link Medium post for the details. But like, really in details, I already told you, like, when I was in was 500 level. I just knew I didn't want to study pharmacy. So that means that I had to expose myself to what worked for me was knowledge, right? I am a curious person. And that's why I said, if you're young, the best thing you can have is curiosity. So I read a lot. I used to read a lot. I went for like, when I go for all this seminar, right now, everybody's distracted by social media. Me, I wasn't just going there because I want to snap a picture with this person or that person. I was learning. I was like listening to people, right? How like, thinking how they were thinking about stuff. I remember when tech started at the time. I also considered like software engineering at the time. So I used to go for tech conferences. I just realized that no, I don't think I can do coding because I don't think it's for me. Like sitting down and coding, nah, I don't think I can do it. Maybe, yeah. So I think it was learning. So I read books, attended conferences. I spoke to people outside. Like I think Famkemi already said, I had a lot of tech friends. At some point, people thought I was working in a tech company because most of my friends were startup founders, all of that kind of stuff. I applied to these places and I didn't get in. I wrote some of these places I didn't get in. How did I? Okay, yes, I remember how I got my first job outside pharmacy, and this answers the question that I think somebody asked earlier. And she said already that you have to put your content out there. So one thing I also did was I always, when I took a mini MBA course, I remember that time this guy just started the guy on LinkedIn, I forgot his name, but I was like maybe the second or first, I don't know, first sets of that. Before now, everybody's now there, but like, when you're first or second set, it's always like really nice. And I just registered, I think I paid 50K at the time. Me, I don't care about all this hair, all this like dressing, all those things. I just wanted to, learn. And I remember paying like 50K that time was like money I was saving for stuff, right? So and then he wrote a book on Dangote, which I read, and then I summarized the book, and he reposted it. Thank you. My hair looks amazing. Thank you. I'm trying my best. So he reposted it on LinkedIn, and so the guy who employed me to be a business analyst actually read my posts, right? So my point is that, like, as you're learning, you can always start putting content out there, and like really intelligent content. People always know when you're not fluffy. Not, I was walking on the road today, all those catchy LinkedIn, all those things that don't make any sense. That like LinkedIn works, but you have to just like put genuine, intelligent posts. And it comes from doing the work and like really, really thinking. Your brain has to work. So like that post actually, like a lot of people read it. And that was how that doctor, he had something he was trying to start in Lagos, and then he called me to go and do an interview. So this was like my first job outside pharmacy. So my point is that was how I got there. Then I kept applying to all these firms, consulting firms. I remember my interview in Cardinal Stone. The knowledge I got from working as a business analyst with this guy, even though he was just paying me 50K, but I was working in community pharmacy that have been paying me like 100K or 120K. I say never, never, I will not do community pharmacy. So the 50, like the knowledge I got from doing the business analyst role was like part of the entry. Like, so to get into Cardinal Stone, you had to do like 3 stages. You had to do the first stage, which was like a GRE GMAT theme. The second stage was like a business. You have to analyze a business, do something, something, something. If you do not know that thing, if you are just a pharmacist, head pharmacist, you can't even enter. Then the third one was like, doing stuff with the partner. So my point is that was like my progression, and that's how I got into asset management. How did I get into consulting? I went to business school. That's how I got into consulting. I hope that answers your question. And just if you want to get into any company, my point is like now you can reach out to people. You can have conversations with them on how they got there, and also do not be flexible about how you get there. Like, you don't know which one is going to, like, just keep showing up basically. And when people say keep showing up, even then I didn't know I was showing up. All I had was curiosity. Let me just tell you, I just was curious to learn about. I'm asking questions. I'm reading books. I'm just talking to people basically. Next person.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mom.
Yeah. Good evening.
I'm Sharon. I'm a 500 level pharmacy student from the University of Benin.
Okay.
My question: what was your doubt journey like? because
Mm.
others,
That's
but
a that's an interesting
that was a
question.
lot. That was a lot. You know, people go like, "Oh, you did amazing," but deep down, I'm just like, "Man, it's not that amazing." Nah, you should not hype me up, don't butter me up, that kind of thing. So, how did you deal with doubt, especially when you didn't have it all figured out, like it wasn't fully crystallized in your heart how you would get there? How did you deal with it?
I have to think a bit for this question. How did I deal with doubt? Oh, so I don't think I ever doubted my my. The thing I just believe is number one. I would say the doubts I had. So we are clear on the kind of doubts I had. So maybe doubts about maybe my intelligence. I'm sorry to say I'm proud. I never doubted my intelligence, right? I just knew that you just have to just tell me what to do. So far it's not spiritual and it's not casting out, maybe I don't know, maybe casting out of demons or something. I will do it. Like there's nothing you tell me. Like I just need to figure it. You just need to tell me, okay, this is what I should do. I'm going to do it, right? So I don't think I really doubted my intelligence. What I struggled with, and I think what even from Kemi sort of alluded to, was people giving me a chance. So all I used to say to my friends, I just hope they should just give me that chance. They should just give me, like when I was applying to all of these places, they'll see my business, B farm. Like, why do you want to come in? Right? We have people that. So I think I just wanted someone to just place a bet on me, right? And I used to say it, I just needed someone to place a bet on me, and that was all I wanted. So I guess that's my doubt journey. So if you say, did I doubt that I would, no, I've always thought that I am everything, even if I'm not intelligent enough, right? I just knew that, like, I just needed to learn. Just tell me what I need to learn. I will learn it. I think the most doubt I felt was in business school, and MBA in INSEAD is like, INSEAD is a very big school, where you have, like, people, very smart people. These people are very smart and they've done very, very, you think you're a big deal. These people have done very mad ass things all over the world. There was one guy I was paired with, maybe he has written one thing, he has done one patent. I'm like, are we not supposed to be like just students together? And that can be intimidating. So how did I deal with this? What I did was I leaned into my uniqueness. I just, like it was hard. So that's the most doubts. So that's why I'm like, let's be specific about the kind of doubt. It was hard. Actually, the most doubt I've had was outside Nigeria. In Nigeria, Nigeria is my most comfort zone, right? Like, Nigerians, we're smart people, right? But like very few people do the work. Once you do the work in Nigeria, let me tell you something, you'll be fine. All you need to do is like just be smart, just do the work. But in this place is a lot more than just doing the work, is that people have exposure that is like, and maybe we would have a session and that session for it. I've been trying to write a Medium article around education, exposure, and experience, which are like three things that you need to be sort of successful. So education I had, exposure not quite, and experience a little bit, but you can't compare the experience of working in Cardinal Stone with the experience of someone that worked in Wall Street. That's like different, right? It's not the same. So that's where I felt the most doubt. And what I just had to do was, like, just to answer your question, lean into my uniqueness. Because doubts is very, people can hear your doubts. And at the time I needed to like get a job, I needed to show up. So I needed to learn my story and learn to tell my story in a way that reflected my uniqueness. Right. So I don't know if I answered your question, but those are like the doubts moments I had. And that's the way, like, I'm just like, I can't change the past. I am who I am. I was born Nigerian, which already give you like minus minus. So like there's nothing I can do about that. So I had to like just face it. Right. Yeah, that's the way I was able to like deal with doubt on the journey. I hope that answers your question though.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Fambukumi. This has been tremendously impactful. We really love and appreciate you. And at this time, I'd like to welcome the. Can we give Fambukumi a virtual round of applause? That was very, very relatable, very touching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to welcome the state coordinator, Pharmacist Obibi Stephanie, to give her vote of thanks before we round up.
Wow. Bambukumi, thank you so much for this empowering session. Like, I love how you started from introducing yourself by yourself. That was really nice. And I love how you were so real with the session. It's so, it's so, how would I put it? It's so nice to see that someone is thinking like me, not wanting to work in community. So I feel other people think when I say I don't want to work in community, they'll be like, oh, is an important part of pharmacy that you must work. If not, you are not studying pharmacy. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. So when you said it, I was really happy. Thank you so much. And you said something else. You said your career is not a job. That was deep for anybody that can understand. Thank you for that. I've bottled up a lot, but I would just like to end by saying, according to what she said, this is the time to make that move. So make that move today. Don't stay in your house and say, oh, let me just stay. I will think about something. You will never do it. Just think about what you want to do. Jump on it and it will come to pass. Thank you so much, Bambukumi, for this session. We really appreciate you for taking out your time to share your knowledge with us. It was really impactful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do have a good evening.
All right. That said, the state coordinator would like to address us briefly in just 2 minutes before we end this call. Farm Stephanie, you have the floor.
Yes. Hi, guys. Good evening. So let me introduce myself. I'm from Stephanie, State Coordinator, YPG Lagos. I'm really glad to have you guys here and thank you for your participation, especially the students from Benin, from Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. So I would like to say, I know I said I was going to comment more on the first speaker. Yes, she said you can't stop learning. I'm just going to say that tomorrow we have another session. Thankfully, by God's grace, we're up to hundreds today or more. So please, we have to be at least 150. Share to your friends, ensure that they are present because tomorrow is going to be more and more and more impactful. So share to your friends, ensure they are present. And for those in Lagos, the first speaker also said you have to network. Don't be in your house and say, oh, and that opportunity is going to come to me. Let me just be going through LinkedIn and just stay there. If people don't see you physically, they won't know how you speak. They won't know how you can attend to things. They won't know the ability you have to make things work. You have to come and express yourself. So I'm using this opportunity to invite all young pharmacists and students in Lagos. We have our YPG Lagos week coming up 1st to 4th of October. The opening ceremony is on the 1st of October and is on a public holiday. Don't go to locum. In fact, quit that local job today because why? Your destiny helper might be at the opening ceremony 1st of October. You might just be that best person to go into research and the person you are looking for, because we are bringing speakers from across all aspects of pharmacy profession, industry, academia, and the rest. So come and meet with people, network, and get the opportunity you're looking for. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for joining. Please and please, we hope to see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Good night. See you guys. Bye bye.